Everyone prepares for the fight. Almost no one understands that by the time the fight begins, it is usually already over. The negotiation, the interview, the confrontation, the competition, whatever your version of the arena is, you've been taught that it's won in the moment through effort, nerve, and performance under pressure. But the people who win consistently know a quieter truth. The contest was decided long before anyone stepped into it, by work that was invisible to everyone watching. Today you'll learn how to win before the fight ever starts, why the outcome is usually set in advance, and the one mistake that turns brilliant preparation into a trap. Let's name the belief, because it runs deep and it feels heroic. The belief is that battles are won in the arena, that when the pressure hits, the person with the most talent, the most willpower, or the most courage in the moment rises up and takes it. It's the story every movie sells you, the underdog who digs deep and wins on the day. So you pour your energy into the performance itself. You try to be sharper in the meeting, more persuasive in the pitch, braver in the confrontation. And when you lose, you conclude that you simply needed to want it more, or perform better under pressure. But watch people who win repeatedly, not once, repeatedly, and you'll notice they rarely look like they're straining at all. In the actual moment, they seem almost relaxed because for them, the moment isn't where the contest happens. They did the real work weeks earlier, out of sight, and they walked in already holding a position that no last-minute effort could overcome. The person sweating in the arena is usually losing to the person who quietly prepared the arena. Talent in the moment is real, but it is almost always outmatched by position established in advance. Here is the mechanism. Every visible contest sits on top of an invisible one that was already settled. What looks like a fight in the moment is really just the revealing of an advantage that was accumulated beforehand. Think of it in 3 layers. The first layer is preparation. The person who has rehearsed, researched, and anticipated isn't braver in the room. They've simply already lived the moment a dozen times in advance, so nothing surprises them. The second layer is position. Where you stand before the contest starts, your information, your relationships, your options, your timing decides most of what is even possible once it begins. Sun Tzu called this shi, a kind of strategic momentum. He compared it to a round boulder poised at the top of a steep mountain. The battle isn't the boulder rolling. The battle was won when you spent the effort, quietly, to roll that boulder all the way to the top. Release it, and gravity does the rest. That is what position is. Stored, invisible advantage that only looks effortless because the work is already done. The third layer is the choice of ground itself. The deepest form of winning before the fight is deciding which fights to have at all. Amateurs accept any contest offered to them and then try to win it. Professionals quietly decline every contest where the ground doesn't already favor them and step only into the ones that are theirs to win. Let me make this concrete. Picture 2 people walking into the same salary negotiation. The first walks in and starts arguing in the moment, improvising, hoping to be persuasive. The second spent the week before quietly learning exactly what the role pays elsewhere, securing a second offer in their back pocket, and choosing the precise timing to ask. In the room, the second person says less, seems calmer, and walks out with more. Same meeting, same words on the surface, completely different outcome. Because for one of them, the negotiation was effectively over before it began. That is the hidden engine underneath almost every contest. Information and position, quietly assembled in advance. So the reframe is this: the visible moment is not where you win or lose. It is where the result of your earlier choices gets revealed. This is why Sun Tzu wrote that the victorious warrior wins first and then goes to war, while the defeated warrior goes to war first and then seeks to win. Most people do the second thing. They enter the fight and then, in the middle of it, start scrambling to find a way to prevail. The master does the opposite. By the time they enter, the victory is already arranged and the fighting is just collection. Amateurs focus on the event. Professionals focus on everything that happens before the event, because that is where the outcome actually lives. Now the evidence. August 216 BC in southern Italy, near a village called Cannae. The Carthaginian general Hannibal faces a Roman army that badly outnumbers his own, by some accounts 80,000 Romans, against roughly 50,000 of his men. On paper, he should lose. Rome has more soldiers, more resources, and is fighting on home ground. But Hannibal does not plan to win the battle during the battle. He plans to win it before it starts, through position and through something even more important, knowing his enemy. The Roman command that season rotated daily between two very different consuls. One was cautious. The other, named Varro, was aggressive and impulsive. Hannibal watched, waited, and chose to offer battle on the day he knew the impulsive one would be in command, counting on that aggression to pull the Romans into his trap. He arranges his forces with deliberate weakness in the center and hidden strength on the wings. He deploys so the wind and the dust will blow into the Romans' faces. He knows the Roman doctrine that they attack in a massive frontal push, and he designs his entire formation as a trap built specifically for the way he already knows they will fight. When the battle begins, it unfolds almost exactly as he arranged it. His center bends backwards slowly, deliberately, drawing the confident Roman mass forward, deeper and deeper, certain they are winning. And then his cavalry, having already swept the flanks clean, closes in from behind. The huge Roman army finds itself surrounded on every side, compressed into a mass so tight that many soldiers cannot even raise their weapons or swing a sword. What follows is not a battle anymore. It is one of the bloodiest single days in the history of warfare, with tens of thousands of Romans killed in a matter of hours. What should have been a Carthaginian defeat becomes one of the most complete victories ever recorded. Rome is left in shock, its army shattered by a smaller force it had every material reason to beat. But notice what actually decided it. Hannibal did not outfight the Romans in the moment. He outpositioned them before the first sword was drawn. Every element, the choice of day, the enemy commander, the terrain, the wind, the shape of his line, the trap, was set in advance, engineered around how he knew his enemy would behave. The clash itself merely executed a result he had already designed. This is precisely what Sun Tzu meant. 3 centuries and a continent away. The fight at Cannae was won before it was ever fought. But here is where this thinking becomes dangerous, because preparation, taken wrongly, doesn't just fail, it becomes a trap you build for yourself. After the horrors of the First World War, France resolved never again to be invaded. So they did something that looks, on the surface, exactly like winning before the fight. They built the Maginot Line, an immense chain of fortifications along their border with Germany, concrete, heavy guns, underground bunkers, one of the most formidable defensive works ever constructed. They prepared exhaustively. They spent years and a fortune making certain they would win the next war before it ever started. And in 1940, Germany simply went around it. The German advance came through the Ardennes forest to the north, ground the French had judged impassable and left lightly defended. The Great Line, still standing, still impregnable, became irrelevant in a matter of days. France had prepared brilliantly and lost catastrophically because they had prepared for the wrong fight. They had won in advance a war that no longer existed, the last one. And here is the deeper trap, the part that should stay with you. The Maginot Line didn't just fail militarily. It gave France something even more dangerous than a weak defense. It gave them false comfort. Because they believed the fight was already won, they stopped adapting. They stopped asking whether the nature of war itself had changed. While across the border, their enemy was building fast, mobile, mechanized forces designed to make static lines obsolete. Certainty became a blindfold. This is the exact condition that inverts the rule. Winning before the fight only works when you have correctly identified what the actual fight will be. Preparation aimed at the wrong contest doesn't merely waste effort. It locks you into a fixed position that a smart opponent will simply walk around, and worse, it convinces you that you're safe while they do it. You see the same pattern far from any battlefield. A dominant company fortifying an aging business model, certain of its position, while a competitor quietly routes around it and makes the whole fortress irrelevant. So the master doesn't just prepare. They prepare while staying adaptable, holding a strong position without becoming its prisoner, and always ready to discover that the fight has quietly moved somewhere their walls don't reach. So how do you win before your fights start without building yourself a Maginot line? 5 moves. 1. Choose your ground. Before you enter any contest, a negotiation, a job search, a competition, ask whether the conditions already favor you. If they don't, your first move isn't to fight harder. It's to change the ground or decline the contest. Some of your most important victories will come from the fights you refused on bad terms. 2. Do the invisible work others skip. The visible moment rewards the preparation nobody saw. Research the person across the table. Rehearse the hard conversation. Know the material cold. Walk in having already lived the moment, so the real version holds no surprises. 3. Set your position in advance. Line up your allies, your information, and your options before you need them. Much of what looks like a decisive moment was actually settled in quiet conversations beforehand, the pre-meeting we talked about earlier. Arrange the board before you sit down to play. 4. Overdetermine the outcome. Don't rely on a single decisive stroke. Stack small advantages in preparation, in positioning, in timing, in relationships, until the result is so weighted in your favor that no single moment can overturn it. Make winning the boring likely outcome, not a dramatic gamble. 5. Stay adaptable. Hold your position, but never marry a rigid plan. Prepare principles, not just scripts, and keep asking whether the real fight has quietly moved somewhere your preparation doesn't reach. Strong position, flexible mind, that is the exact combination the Maginot Line was missing. Do these, and you'll stop walking into arenas hoping to rise to the occasion and start walking in already holding the outcome. But arranging victory in advance requires something most people never develop: the patience to think in a far longer time frame than everyone around them. The masters aren't just preparing for next week's fight, they're positioning for contests years away, making moves that look pointless to anyone thinking in days. Next, we break down why the highest performers think in decades, not days. Watch that one.